No, you can't beat Resident Evil 4 using only the first handgun. And yes, I was stubborn enough to try anyways. The rules are very simple. I can only use the starting handgun. That means no grenades, no knife, not even to break boxes. And if I want ammo, I have to waste ammo, which is peak Resident Evil logic. I also can't use the knife for QTEs, so if an enemy grabs me, I just have to take it like a man. Even if that means dying like a man. But kicks and QTEs that don't involve the knife are fair game. And of course, all of this is on the professional difficulty. I actually attempted this challenge a few years ago on the PS3, and if there is one thing I learned, is that you never have enough ammo. Doesn't matter how much you see in your inventory, one boss can eat through it like Leon eats eggs. So my strategy was simple. Hoard ammo like a paranoid squirrel. The village is a good example of this. I tried fighting the villagers, but no matter how cautious I was or how many enemies I kicked, they never dropped the ammo I wanted. I'd always end up spending more than I got back. So it was better to just wait 4 minutes without killing anyone. And the best way to do that is to climb this tower and let them throw the molotovs at you. Because fun fact, these molotovs can't actually kill you. All they do is burn you down to exactly 1 HP. It's like the enemy saying we could finish you, but we'd rather do it in person. So anyways, I just waited in here, smelling like barbecue, until the church bell rang. And this became the blueprints for most rooms. Avoid fighting if there are too many enemies, and if there isn't, try to farm them for a few ammo drops. And I usually didn't bother shooting boxes if I know they had static drops. Like this one that always has SMG ammo. Completely useless. And if I did shoot a box, I'd make sure it was likely to have handgun ammo. And if it didn't, I'd reset the checkpoint like it never happened. And because I only had a pistol, the only random drops I got were either money or handgun ammo, so that was good to have. And occasionally, I'd go for a box with a treasure or a healing item, because well, those were nice to have, especially when I was getting bullied by angry farmers. And that was the case until we reached the lago. Well, I guess you could count this as breaking the challenge. But that's not what I meant when I said this one is impossible. Because we all know what happens if you try to shoot this guy. So we have to do this fight normally, but that's the only time I'm allowed to use the harpoons, meaning that I can't use them to get fish after the fight. If I want those, I have to shoot them. Also, a quick thing I forgot to mention, whenever I unlocked a new pistol capacity upgrade, I'd empty the magazine first, then buy the upgrade to get a free reload. A little ammo trick that can make a big difference, if I remember to do it more often, but anyways, I went to face the Gigante, and honestly I was doing pretty well on ammo, but remember what I said earlier, no amount is enough. Although this fight was a breeze, because Big Boy in here was really hard to miss, and the dog was pretty helpful, the only catch is that I had to avoid getting grabbed, because I cannot use the knife to break out. So that means insta-death. And I cannot use the QTE on his plug as I have to shoot it. But after fighting him and looting the arena, I barely lost any ammo, because he had a lot of loot in here. But honestly, the village isn't what I'm worried about. It's the castle and especially the island, where there is a lot of bosses and stronger enemies. That's what worries me. Anyways, we rescue Ashley, and she instantly becomes the most annoying part of this challenge. Then it's on to the cabin fights, which surprisingly went better than I expected. Lewis turned out to be an absolute Chad, mowing down enemies and handing me extra ammo like it was candy, while I mostly stuck to crowd control and avoiding any unnecessary shots, and occasionally stepping in when Lewis was getting harassed by the plagas. And after a few tries, I actually came out with more ammo than I had going in. Things were looking pretty good. And if you're wondering which path I took in here, the right path is definitely the right one for me. No pun intended. Okay, maybe a little pun intended. This way I could loot everything even without fighting the Gigante. Then it was a few more enemies before facing the big cheese. I walked into the fight with over 500 bullets, so yeah, he didn't stand a chance. By the way, I could tell this run was going better than the last time I tried this challenge, because back then, I didn't have nearly as much ammo as I do now. But anyways, we reached Mendes, and 130 bullets later, he was gone. Then we head to the castle. First up, the catapult room. This room can be pretty annoying, but I just used the speedrun strat in here, which is to snap this guy from here and run to the cannon. Then we tell Ashley to wait in here, so the enemies grab her instead of me. I'm pretty sure they regret choosing me to save her. Anyways, she gets grabbed, and that means the enemy is busy taking Ashley, so I can just raise the cannon, shoot it, and that despawns all the enemies in here. So this room cost me 1 bullet, and Ashley's trusting me. Worth it. And you know what else is worth it? You hitting that like button. Totally worth it. Thank you. On the next room, I got this sword and immediately went out and back in again. This resets the enemy location and prevents more from spawning, so I just did the puzzle and left. Now we reach the Gara door, and this fight wasn't that bad. I did it on my first try. You just have to take your time and shoot the plagas a few times whenever you get a clear shot. Then we do another speedrun strat in here to get the enemies to blow themselves up, and we're off to the water hall. And of course, this wouldn't be a challenge without me suffering in here. The plan was simple. Shoot the archers, step out and back in to reset the positions, go downstairs, raise the crank, head back up, lower the bridge, avoid the next wave, run up, restart checkpoints, despawn everything, then move on. Pretty simple, right? There's only one small problem. Good luck doing that. Seriously, I need luck to do it because enemies don't always behave the same. Sometimes a lot of people follow me on the basement, sometimes none, and even when abusing iframes on this crank, I still died because there was a lot of enemies, and I didn't want to kill them because then more enemies would spawn and I would waste a lot of ammo. So after a few tries, I was getting enemies to follow me on a scenic shore around the room, so they give me enough time to use the crank. And when the scythe guys appear, we do another tour around the room so I can finally go up, finishing the first part. And now that enemies are gone, I save scammed a few jars to get ammo drops. And then I did the second part of this room where I had to protect Ashley, which was not nearly as bad as the first health, but it still burned some of my ammo, because usually I just run through without wasting a bullet. But I guess babysitting comes at a price. And I think Ashley was still mad at me for using her as a human shield earlier, so in true Ashley fashion, she ran straight into a trap. So now I had to go the long way around, through Novies and cultists just to bring her back. Eventually I hit the gallery, which ended up being way more of a pain than I expected. I tried cutting the red zealot off before he reached the turrets, but even when I did, he tanked a lot of bullets from this pea shooter I call a pistol, and being stuck in a tight room with his buddies wasn't helping either. Eventually, I just baited some enemies to the barrel, blew them up, and dumped a lot of bullets I had into this red zealot until he finally dropped. Then we just pushed through a few rooms, and finally rescue Ashley, again. And next up was the Knight's room. They didn't take too much ammo, but 3 of them ganging up on me was still enough for me to die in here a few times. And after that I just ran through this hallway using another speedrun strat. Then came the second Novi's room. I tried running past them but they were bullying me. So I gave up and started shooting them out of the air, which actually kills them really fast without wasting much ammo. And oh, by the way, I couldn't resist shooting this nest to grab all the treasures. Then we head to the clock tower, eat a catapult to the face, rotate it, run out. And I ran past everyone on this bridge without wasting a single shot. Although I failed to do this more times than I would like to admit. Then I head to a room I remember struggling on the first time I attempted this challenge. Double Garrow door. But honestly, it was pretty easy. I did it on my first try. Maybe it's just because now I'm on mouse and keyboard, so my aim is better, or I actually got better in the game, which would be the saddest character development arc ever. Then it was time for Verdugo. I completely forgot you can just keep fighting him by waiting for the elevator, but don't worry, I remembered the hard way. God dang it, I should have healed. So in the next attempt, I just stood on this door, and whenever he tries to open it, I kick it, then go back in. And I just repeated this until the elevator came, and I just left him to think about what he did. Now we go through the mines with only a few shots used to clear my way, and we reach the double gigante. And there's actually a way to skip this fight. If you use the striker to use the Ditman glitch and zipline twice really fast, you clip out of bounds. But of course, I'm not allowed to use other weapons, even if I don't shoot them. Technically, you can do it without the Ditman, but it's like trying to put a USB in the right way on the first try. Technically, it's possible, but I'll never be able to do it. So I just fought them normally. I sent one of them to a holiday straight into the lava hot tub. And I actually had to fight the second one because
nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday.
And he ate up a lot of my ammo. Holy crap. Now we push through the last Novi's room. And I finally got the exclusive upgrade for the pistol, which multiplies the critical shot chance by 5 times. So now it was actually a decent weapon, especially against normal enemies. And since I was running low on ammo, I killed all of the enemies in here with one clip, then sold and rebought my pistol. This way I get an extra 25 shots. And I had a lot of money since I was barely buying anything, and I could afford to do this a few times. I just wish I used it more often. And next up is the second mines area and then the minecart. And since I can't skip the minecart, there was no way I was wasting a single bullet in here. So I pulled off the skip and moved on to the statue room, then the elevator room. And I used the barrels to do most of the work. And then took the elevator with a strict no plus ones rule. So I had to politely throw the party crashers off the premises. So we finally reached Salazar. I used to really struggle in here, but now I know a trick, confirming my theory from earlier, that I've gotten better at the game since the last time I did this. I'm still not sure if that's to win or cry for help. If you stand right here, most of his attacks can't reach you, especially those weird arm, tentacle, branch things, or whatever those are. So I can just stand in here and keep shooting his eye, then shoot him whenever his cage opens. The only attack that I have to worry about is this one that kills you instantly. But whenever he does it, I just move and come back, and just like that, he was defeated on the first try. It took about 160 bullets, but after looting everything, I had 235 bullets left. And I rebought the pistol to get a full clip, then we head to the island, which was the worst part of this challenge. To start off, the first thing I did was another speedrun glitch to skip the mirrors room. By the way, I have a video explaining all the speedrun strats for this game, and you can check that out later if you want. Then we push through the island until we reach the regenerators, which you actually don't have to kill. So I just ran past them, avoiding eye contact like they weren't even there. Until we reach this Iron Maiden, and I have to kill this one because I need the keycard. So I used this explosion to deal some damage, then I just unloaded on him. And the fight wasn't that bad, it's the ammo that I was worried about. Anyways, we get Ashley back and then run through the next rooms, including this one with the 2 Iron Maidens, which luckily we don't have to kill. And these rooms were much harder than the castle or the village, because it's not just run to the next door. Most rooms have some sort of gimmick or complication to progress, like the wrecking ball room or the truck section. They were harder but doable. And now Ashley gets taken away yet another time. And then I did the Krauser cutscene, and I took a quick sit in this chair to mentally prepare for the next boss fight, because now it was time for the U3. And this fight was rough. First, we have to survive through these cages before we can kill him. So I had to be really careful and bait out attacks and shoot the gate switches optimally. And just pray I didn't screw up. Anyways, we reached the boss fight arena, and just so you know, this guy is so tanky, even if you shoot him with a rocket launcher, he doesn't die. You'll still have to slice him once or twice with a knife to finish him off. That's how much HP it has. And the worst thing is whenever I get grabbed, I have to restart, because if I do the QTE to escape, Leon uses the knife, which is not allowed of course. So I started unloading on him, until his lower body was gone. At that point, he was just swinging those giant scissor claws around, so I saved those barrels for this phase. I used them, then used the door to slow him down and get more shooting time, and after a few deaths and retries, he finally went down, along with most of my ammo. I was left with 83 bullets. Like I said, you can never have too much ammo on this challenge. Then we pushed through a few more enemies and I reached this merchant. And I had a stupid idea that I thought was really smart. Instead of just selling and rebuying the pistol and upgrading it to the max like I did before, I decided that I'll only upgrade the capacity one clip at a time. So I max out the other stuff but leave the capacity unchanged, and kill a few enemies and boxes, and then upgrade the capacity once and do the same. And this would save some money. But I had a lot of money and I didn't need to do this. And the next merchant was almost at the end of the game. And of course this way we don't have the exclusive because you need to buy all the upgrades to get that. Anyways, we head to the Krauser section, and for the first encounter, you just damage him a bit or wait for the door to open, and for the second encounter, you have to fight him off. And on his final phase is where my last attempt on this challenge failed. And unfortunately, this one is no different. At the time, I remember reading somewhere that Krauser has too much HP to be killed with just a handgun, especially in this time limit. So I decided to put this to the test. I used a mod to make him ignore me completely and turned on an HP display and started shooting. And I ran out of ammo before he died. So I gave myself infinite ammo just for the test, and even when shooting him non-stop and without him fighting back, and I wasn't even reloading for the last few shots, because I had infinite ammo. And even then it took more than 2 minutes for him to die. So yeah, there was no way I'm gonna do that in 3 minutes while he's actively trying to murder me. So I just pulled out the knife and ended it, and officially failing this challenge. But hey, we're so close at the end now, might as well finish what I started. And the next chapter is probably the worst chapter in the entire game. And this is where the pistol exclusive would have been really helpful. If only I didn't do that 3-head strategy, but anyways, I try to just run past everyone in here, and if I get shot, I just take it like a man and heal and move on like nothing happened. And after a few deaths, I finally reached this machine gun guy, dropped down, flipped the lever, then restarted checkpoints, which conveniently despawns all the enemies chasing you, including him. But the next part of the room was even more brutal, and I died in here a lot. And after a while, I finally got a good attempt, and I killed all the turret guys and switched the levers, and I was on my way out. And if you saw my speedrun explanation video, you'll know that there is a bug on this room, where there is a small chance that the game crashes right after this door, which is exactly what happened on this attempt, meaning that I have to do this entire chapter again. No, man, no, holy crap, this is the worst time for it, man, holy. After rage quitting and regretting my life choices for the next few days, I finally gathered all my strength and went to try again. And I did manage to beat it this time, and I moved on to the second war room, which was also brutal, but after a few deaths I finally managed to kill the red hat guy early and take his keycard, then use it to enable 2 switches, then press them and run out, all without dying of course. And now it's just a few more enemies to Salazar. Once I reached him, I realized I was really rusty on this fight. It's been ages since I did this fight normally, so naturally, I died a few times in here. But I was getting better with each attempt, and I even made it to the cutscene where Ada gives you the special rocket launcher. But of course I can't use that. So I just kept shooting him with a pistol until... Yep, I ran out of ammo. I tried this fight again while being more careful to not miss any more shots, but still, that wasn't enough. So after another rage quit and despair, I decided to try this again. But I knew I needed more ammo, so the only solution I could come up with was to reload an older save and grind more ammo. So I went all the way back before the U3 fight, and started save scamming like my life depended on it. I did this room, then I did the U3 fight again, and I didn't repeat the same mistake on the merchant this time. I actually rebought the pistol and fully upgraded it. And on Krauser, I spent a long time resetting checkpoints just to get handgun drops from these drones. And it was so worth it. I got 5 handgun drops from these drones alone. Now after I finished this fight, I already had more ammo ammo than I did the last time, but it wasn't that big of a difference. And it was time to redo this war room for the third time. But now I had a different strategy. I was trying to kill the enemies and save scam them for handgun drops, so even if I kill anyone, I won't proceed if I don't get a lot of handgun drops. And I was using the dynamite guys to make them blow up their friends, and it took a while, but I tried to get the maximum amount possible. And when I finally finished this room, I had 382 bullets. And on the next room you get a cutscene while Mike kills a few enemies in here, so you get a few drops without killing anyone. And I remember that last time I got a lot of handgun drops in here, so I started resetting checkpoints until I get similar drops, because at this point, all I wanted was to get more handgun ammo. And throughout this save scamming, a bug in my room distracted me and I accidentally went to the main menu instead of resetting the checkpoints, meaning that I had to redo this room yet again. At this point, I was actually losing it, and I restarted in here a lot, trying to get as much ammo as I got the last time. And after a while, I finally did it again, and I had 3 extra bullets more than last time. And I also started save scamming in here again, because I never learned my lesson. But luckily this time I did get a good amount of drops, so I went through the second war room, also save scamming, and finally reached Sadler again. And I had 446 bullets. That's 138 more than last time, and it was more than enough to finish him off. So one jet ski ride later, this challenge was finally over. If you're still here, first of all, you're a legend. Thank you. Second of all, yeah, I did fail the challenge. But hey, it was still a fun challenge to do. Especially because my last challenges were more of a torture rather than a fun playthrough. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's impossible to kill Krauser with just the first handgun. But if you think otherwise, let me know down in the comments, so I can politely ignore your advice and never attempt this challenge ever again. If you enjoyed watching this video, consider subscribing because clearly you've got the patience for my kind of content. And it does help out a lot. Now you can check out the speedrun breakdown I mentioned earlier, or my last RE4 remake challenge. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.